bird.
Who is it?
She's a cracker. What a smasher, Lady P.
Oh.
What a bird.
Hey. Oh, I wish we had the real bird.
I don't know where she is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hooray!
She's there.
Is that Miss Sylvia Anderson?
It is indeed, yes.
The real McCoy, Lady Penelope speaking.
Otherwise known as Lady Penelope Crichton Ward.
Oh, I say, how
That voice.
lovely.
So silky.
I'd like to know who was the songwriter of that.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
Have you heard that before?
It was absolutely beautiful.
Well, after that,
Fabulous, in fact.
it's had a lot of hits on YouTube, that has, I have to say. But it doesn't actually say here, so I'll have to try and... Oh, hang on. No, it doesn't say
it's
who's
not
done
there.
it by, but we'll find out.
We'll do some investigating for you
Absolutely.
and let you know.
I think you should sort it out. You're very good at investigating, aren't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, thank you for joining us, Sylvia, on our very special New Year's Eve show. There's
It's
a lot of
great
listeners.
pleasure.
And first of all, Mark and I would obviously like to send condolences for the passing of Mr. Jerry Anderson.
Thank you.
To you, and we feel very, very privileged that you've joined us this evening as an exclusive at the moment interview.
You wouldn't do it with
It's
anybody
my
else,
pleasure.
would you, Sylvia?
My pleasure.
Now, darling,
Yes.
we would like to speak to you, first of all, if we may, about Sylvia Anderson, My Fab Years.
Yes.
The book.
My book, yes.
Yes, go for it, darling.
Well, it's a very big book.
It is, I've got it here.
And you can't take it, I don't think you can take it on a plane. So it's, but it says it all, from the very beginning right through to the present day. And so anything you want to know about behind the scenes or in front of the camera, all about all the crew, everyone, it's all there. And I'm very pleased to do it because it's covered a lot of things.
It's a beautifully illustrated book
Yes, thank
with
you.
lots of pictures. And what I like about looking through it is it's sort of book you can put it down and you can come back to a bit later on and read a bit more, isn't it?
Absolutely. And people did ring me at first and said, oh, I haven't finished the book yet. I said, no, you don't have to do that. What you do, you look at the beginning and you see what the chapters say, and then you pick out, it's like sort of a box of chocolates. You pick out what you want.
Oh, not if you're me.
No, Mark will put the coconut ones back in, I think. Now, darling, we would like to know as well, there's been a lot of things happening in reported as well in the press.
Yes.
But we would like to ask the real McCoy, how did it all start and what was your involvement in it?
Well, it started in a very strange way, really, because I was attending London School of Economics.
Yeah.
So I was taking political science and sociology. I was going to put the world to rights. And I had a break because it was a holiday. And I saw an ad for a small film company and to go along to do some holiday work. And I thought, yeah, I've always been interested in that side. So I went along, and as I described in my book, it was a very hot day, and I was trudging up the hill, and I couldn't find this place at all. And I was just about to turn away, and it was a very old house, had been a very beautiful house, and it was like something out of a movie, a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
And I tried all the doors and everything, and couldn't get any of it. And then I thought, oh, look, yes, this is a dead end, I'm going to go. And just as I went to go, I saw a figure, again, like a movie, at the door, at the window, and beckoned me in. And that was my first introduction, really.
It would have been very
going
different.
to be a film career.
If you'd have walked away at that point, just think, things would have been very different.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by that.
Yeah.
If you do something and something else happens and you turn away, you'll never know where that was going to lead you.
Yes.
So I went there, they beckoned me in, and this is a bit bespectacled, rather odd-looking little man, very sweet, professor, real professor type. And I went in, there were two other directors of the company, and they actually were first starting, and they were making commercials and titles and all that sort of thing. And they said, oh, well, we've got a lot of applicants. And I thought, well, I don't think so, because no one will ever find their way here. So that was the start of it all. And they begged me to come work for them for about something like £4 a week, something like that. Quite ridiculous now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got involved, and that's how it all started.
Wow, that must have been an incredible time. So who actually employed you at that point?
Well, at that point, there were 2 or 3 directors.
Yeah.
The professor type, a man called Dougie Dobbs,
Yeah.
and Red Federer.
Yes.
And they said, oh, well, we'll have to discuss it between us. They were very, very, sort of pompous about it all. For that figure of money, earning that a week. So, and I was very broke, too, being a student. So they phoned me about 3 days later, and they said, oh, could you please come immediately? So I went, and then I met all of them, and I found out at a later date that Jerry Anderson, was not at the original interview, and he didn't really want me at all. He didn't know me, hadn't seen me. He wanted a very sober, very, very experienced secretary, and I wasn't. I literally was
And then
a
what
university
happened?
student. Anyway, we got over that, and then I worked for them, and it was totally mad atmosphere, and I even had charge of the petty cash, which never had tallied. So it was, and then I suddenly thought, I like this life, I want to do it. So I found myself doing lots of things, writing dialogue, directing dialogue, all sorts of things. So that's how it all started.
So what was the very first project that you actually worked on?
Well, the first project
You
was
worked together,
for
didn't
a face cream. And they kept calling me down from the office and said, would you do this, would you do that? And so it was just a commercial, a very small commercial. And then I found myself doing all sorts of things, writing stuff and looking after everybody, and even to the point of making the tea, making the coffee, all that stuff that no one does these days.
Mark does.
No.
The kettle's
So
on.
this is the old days.
Yeah, but that's what they would have called a runner back then, wasn't it? Or this
Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But I didn't mind, you see,
No.
because and they were so nice to deal with. They were totally mad. The whole thing was mad. And we had our artists there and so on. And so that's where I first started. And that was something that I'd always been interested in movies and plays, that side of things. But this was really almost by accident. So it was the beginning of a very, very long career.
So if we catapult forward then, and let's hit to the punch now, and to talk about Thunderbirds.
Yes.
And a lot of people, when they talk about Jerry, they'll say Jerry's creation of Thunderbirds. What's your view on how that is? Because you'll say, well, hang on, the characters, who created the characters and things like that?
Well, it was actually a very good partnership.
Yes.
Because I was sort of the person that could do voices, and I was interested in the characters. That was my whole thing.
Yeah.
Because my feeling was, I was told this a long time ago, that if you have a dramatic scene, you've got to care about the people who are involved in that. So if a place blows up and you know the people, then you care. So my role really was to bring in the characters, to create the characters,
Yes.
and give them a life. If you
Wow.
like.
So without that, we wouldn't have had it in the way that we had it. So you worked very well with Jerry.
Yes, we worked extremely well together
Yes.
because we wrote the original thing that we called the Bible, where
Yes.
you actually get your team of people and say that these are the characters, this is what you do, and so on. So that was absolutely fine because he was not a writer, but he was really on the technical side, if you like, and had fantastic ideas. So it sort of worked well because I was doing the characters and the costumes and everything, and he was the person that thought up the big ideas, and he worked with a team of people that designed and created all the hardware, if you like. So it was perfect.
And it's true, isn't it, to say that we nearly didn't get Thunderbirds at all, did we?
No.
No.
That's
What happened?
Right. I mean, we went through some very difficult times,
Yeah.
and then after that initial joining of the original Polytechnic, as it was called, then there was inevitably you're going to have 5 people that go separate ways because they were all sort of mad geniuses, if you like. And so they asked me to join them. So I went with Jerry and 2 other members, and we set up a new company in a big house. And again, it was a bit, strange and weird. We had no money at all, so my mother put in £100 or something, and everyone cashed in various policies and so on. And then I was the only one that could do typing, shorthand, and all that. So whenever we had no work, which was often, I was sent out to work into the most awful places.
I couldn't see you down the local supermarket, though, Sylvia.
I didn't do any stacking of shelves.
No, I don't blame you.
My arms are not long enough.
Dee, your daughter, obviously I know very well, and as I do yourself now, which is absolutely fantastic. And she told me a wonderful story once when she said that she remembers going to the fish and chip shop with Jerry in a pink Rolls Royce. Really did. So it wasn't your car they borrowed, was it?
I did have, no, it wasn't a Rolls Royce. I did have, I had a succession of cars. I remember once when we were doing Thunderbirds and so on, I'd had a bad car accident and nearly wrote myself off. And so anyway, we said, must get you a new car. And so I decided on a Lotus, which was what I didn't realise wasn't a very hardy car. And never started anyway. And I had the people...
Did you say it never started?
No, it never started. Because if you have a Lotus, if anyone knows this, you have to drive it every day down a motorway or whatever. Because it's a racing car.
Ooh.
So there you are.
Yeah,
and I remember the people came who were going to provide the car. And they said, what colour do you want? And I said, oh, come down to the studio and I'll show you. And I had a bracelet in the sort of pinky mauvey colour. I said, could you paint it for that? And he said, yes.
Really?
Totally crazy.
Oh, that's when you know.
Unique.
I guess that's when you know you've made it, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
So tell us about Lady Penelope. How did that character come about, and how did you end up? I know you've done a lot of other voices for
yes, I did little children's voices, little boys' voices, Australian, so on, and American leaders, like that sort of thing. So I was always, very happy to do that. But in each of our series episodes, it was always the man in those days, and you were talking about late 50s, that led the whole thing.
Yes.
So the woman, the female, and I made them Swedish and blonde and all that sort of thing. So I had those voices. But they always walked 3 paces behind the male.
Hey, don't get any ideas, Mark.
I'm getting fed up with this.
Yeah.
I think we should have a female heroine. And then I thought, well, why don't we have someone that the Americans would like, because they're going to buy the show. Mm-hmm. And according to Americans at that time, we were either cockneys or we were very posh.
That's true.
So I had both. We had Parker as the cockney.
Of course.
And Lady Penelope, who was posh.
That's really clever.
And because of the time it was when that particular, Thunderbirds came out with all the others.
Yes.
And it was a sort of a male-dominated era, wasn't it?
Well, it was. You see, if you think of the heroes that we had. And then I was always... Lou Grade was absolutely fantastic for us. He was just beginning his career with ATV, Associated Television. And so he was new to television. So everything was very new. And we had a chance to put forward our ideas. It was the perfect timing, really. And we were young and very eager and didn't mind a lot of work. So when it came to the episodes, I said, can we have an hour, please? Because you cannot develop characters under an hour. You've got to set them up, you've got to understand them, they've got to have their own particular characteristics. So I argued for this from our boss, which was Lou Grade. And finally he said yes. So I then got a chance to get my characters out there. And Lady Penelope was